My fiancé was the most beautiful Omega in the entire Federation, an aristocrat with high-grade pheromones. And I was just the son of a stable hand. If our pheromones weren't a 99% match, you wouldn't even be worthy of shining my shoes. He always looked at me with that same disgust, using the cruelest words he could think of. I did everything to please him. Everyone knew I was the alpha who served as his personal lapdog. But he still hated me. During another rut, I was on the verge of collapse and begged him to just let me hold him. But Adrian just frowned in disgust. Are you a dog in heat? If you can't control yourself, go find an Omega at the slave market. I don't want to marry someone with your low-class background. My friends make fun of me every day because of you. This time, I just looked into his beautiful eyes. Fine, then let's not get married. Adrian's words made the flush drain from my face. I dropped to one knee, pressing my face against the Omega's calf, trying to draw in even the faintest trace of his pheromones. A light blush crept up Adrian's perfect face as he glared at me. You worthless dog, look where we are. I was instantly flooded with shame, but the physical agony was unbearable. I'd gotten through my last few ruts with suppressants, and my willpower was at its limit. All I wanted was an embrace to calm the screaming need inside me. My vision started to blur. Delirious, I pleaded, Adrian, please just let me hold you. I'm begging you, just for a second. No, it's humiliating enough just coming to this ball with you. If anyone sees us carrying on like this, I'll never be able to shake a lowlife like you. He shoved my face away with the tip of his shoe, then turned and left without a backward glance. Ade. I watched Adrian's back as he walked away without a hint of hesitation. I wanted to cry for help, but I couldn't form a single word. My last shred of hope shattered. A tide of sorrow washed over me. Because a long time ago, we weren't like this. I was the child of a stable hand on the Vance estate. My father was trampled to death by a horse in a racing accident. When I was 5, my mother abandoned me in the stables and ran off with another man. It was the young master, who had wandered into the stables by mistake, who took pity on me. He took my hand, led me to the manor, and told the staff to give me something to eat. That's the only reason I survived. From that day on, I knew that Adrian was my only master. The only reason I wasn't thrown into the slave markets to be bought and sold like an animal, or left to beg on the streets. The only reason I had a warm place to sleep and enough food to eat was because Adrian needed a playmate, or more accurately, a loyal dog. Adrian was spoiled and had a terrible temper, and I was the only one who could keep him happy. Everything he received, from ball gowns to the utensils he ate with, had to pass through my hands first. I was his most loyal servant and his punching bag when he was upset, taking his beatings and his curses without a word. He had to have a glass of warm milk before bed. His favorite teddy bear had to be washed and spritzed with perfume on a regular schedule. If he tasted something he didn't like, he'd just frown at me, and I'd hold out my hand for him to spit it into. For thousands of days and nights, we were inseparable. We knew everything about each other. When I presented as an S-class alpha, it caused a sensation across the estate. For the first time, I was allowed to eat at the dining table. Adrian, sitting across from me, winked. The cream cake is good, isn't it? It's my favorite. I found myself mesmerized by the young master's full, glistening lips. When I didn't answer, Adrian pouted. You're such a peasant. You don't even know what's good. I shyly lowered my head, my heart melting. The young master had forgotten he'd given me cream cake before. Would he really share his favorite food with a servant? To this day, the memory that stands out from the day I presented isn't the acceptance letter to the Federal Academy that Mr. Vance handed me. It's Adrian's puffy, pouting, adorable cheeks. Because from that day on, a lowly heart began to dream of staying by his side forever. The day before I was set to leave for the academy, Adrian had his second presentation. He was in his room painting, and just like always, he'd made me pose as his model. The change came over him so suddenly. The paintbrush fell to the carpet, staining the white wool. A sweet scent flooded the room from the boy's body. His face was flushed, and beautiful sounds escaped his lips. I fought it. When Adrian clung to me and wouldn't let go, I stabbed a dagger into my own thigh, trying to stay clear-headed, but his soft lips shattered my defenses with ease. The boy was trembling violently, his hands roaming over my stomach. He said, "Please, please, Caleb. I like you the most, Caleb. Help me." The moment he said he liked me, the last thread of my control snapped. We tumbled onto the large bed. Just before I marked and nodded him, I caressed Adrian's face, utterly captivated. For the first time, my voice trembling, I said the name I had repeated countless times in my heart. "Adrian. My young master. My Adrian. I love you." The potent pheromones finally drew attention. When the housekeeper pushed open the door, she found clothes scattered on the floor and two people locked in an embrace on the bed. Though the incident was kept under tight wraps within the estate, Mr. Vance ultimately decided we would marry. Once he made a decision, no one could change it. Not even when his only child threatened to kill himself. I remember how much Adrian hated me in those days. How he wished I would just drop dead. He put bugs in my milk. He tore up my homework, nearly getting me expelled. He made me kneel in front of everyone and act as his human stool. I took all of it, enduring his malice in silence. Because in my heart, Adrian was already my mate. It was my responsibility to endure my beloved's temper and do everything I could to make him happy. Besides, it was my fault for losing control and defiling him in the first place. I was the one to blame. 3 years passed like that. In those 3 years, Adrian postponed the wedding twice. The second time, Mr. Vance refused outright and planned to announce our marriage to the public. The Omega ran off crying. I rushed after him. Mrs. Vance sighed behind me. How can he not see it? An S-Class Alpha has been utterly devoted to him for so many years. When I caught up to Adrian, he was crouched by the lake. He looked at me, hurt, and said, "When you make Colonel, I'll marry you." I believed him. I carried him back to his bedroom, then immediately left to join the military. After that day, no one in the army worked harder than me. I charged into dead zones others were too afraid to enter. I snatched up missions no one else would take. I had only one thought in my mind: survive and go home. Go back and marry Adrian. He was waiting for me. I traded blood for medals, risk for reward. When I finally earned that silver insignia, the symbol of honor and power, I spent all my savings on a diamond ring to propose to the Omega I loved. His friends were all there that day. Aristocrats of all 3 designations, alphas, betas, and omegas, were gathered together, having fun. When Adrian casually stuck the diamond ring in his pet dog's mouth, the entire room went silent. Then it erupted in laughter. I froze, completely at a loss. "Adrian, you said as long as..." Adrian cut me off, his smile as beautiful as ever. He tilted his head with a cruel innocence. "So what?" I changed my mind. The aristocrats' laughter nearly brought the roof down. I finally understood. No matter how hard I tried, in Adrian's eyes, I would always just be an obedient dog he could play with and discard as he pleased. In that instant, the world felt like it had rewound to that night my mother left me in the stable. Cold, stinking, dark, and starving. Only this time, no one was coming to save me. When I opened my eyes again, the first thing I saw was Mrs. Vance's sad face. She held my hand, her voice full of shame. "Adrian didn't mean it. I just spoiled him too much, and he's having a hard time accepting the change in your relationship. You'll tolerate him, won't you?" My face was pale. I didn't say a word. If I hadn't been found in time, I probably would have died from the fever. In a daze, I thought I heard someone arguing at the door. Adrian burst in, glanced at me, then turned angrily to Mr. Vance. "He's not dead, so why am I grounded?" "Adrian, shut your mouth." Adrian's eyes instantly turned red. He glared at me with hatred. "Why did you leave the house without suppressants? How old are you? Don't you have any common sense? An S-Class Alpha who goes into rut in public. You're worse than a dog." Felt like a punch to the gut. I gave a bitter smile. Why didn't I have suppressants? Because my ruts had become so erratic they were completely unpredictable. My nails dug into my palms, but I couldn't feel the pain. Mr. Vance slapped Adrian across the face. Mrs. Vance scrambled after him as he ran out. The once crowded room fell quiet. In that silence, I couldn't stop myself. I broke down and sobbed, tears streaming down my face. Adrian didn't come home for days. I checked all his usual spots but couldn't find him. I had no choice but to keep sending him messages. I know you're upset, Adrian. Can you please just message me back? I'm worried about you. I've handled all the wedding arrangements so you won't have to worry about a thing. Can you just come back and try on your suit? Adrian, after a long hesitation, I finally sent the words, I miss you. A day passed before Adrian finally replied. I'm with someone I actually like. Stop bothering me. After days of insomnia, my mind went completely blank when I saw those words. After a long pause, I replied, okay. From that day on, Adrian would send me a message at random times. I'm not coming home tonight. Okay. The next day, not coming home today either. He's taking me to a ball. Okay. The third day, not coming home. Okay. Early on the fourth day, Adrian suddenly sent a voice message. His voice was muffled. I was lying. I've been with my friends these past few days. I'm not the kind of omega who sleeps around. Okay. The moment I put my comms down, he called. His tone was strange. Are you jealous? I'm not cheating on you, so don't you dare go tattling to my parents. I don't know why, but hearing his voice after so long, I didn't feel a shred of longing. I just wanted to hang up. Okay. I want to hang out for a few more days. You're not allowed to come get me. Okay. There was a long silence on the other end, then an exasperated shout. Is that all you have to say? You idiot. How am I supposed to marry a moron like you? You're so stupid, Stu. I sighed and cut him off. I have to head out for a mission. I'm hanging up. Adrian sneered. Fine. So now your missions are more important than me? Do you want me to postpone the wedding again? Because I will. Okay. After I said it, both of us froze. I hung up, collected myself, and headed to the front lines with my unit. When the mission was over, I pushed open the door to my apartment and saw Adrian sitting on the sofa, flipping through a magazine, his pale calves resting on a pillow. This studio was my private residence. Adrian thought it was too small and had hardly ever set foot in it. It had been so long since I'd seen him, the words just slipped out. Can I help you? Adrian threw the pillow at me, fuming. Why haven't you been home? You haven't even answered my messages. Where have you been messing around? You're getting bold, aren't you? Now that you have me, you don't care anymore, is that it? I'm warning you, if you dare to mess around with someone else, I'll postpone the wedding immediately. His voice was so sharp it made my head throb. I opened my comms log. There were hundreds of messages, all from Adrian. More than we'd exchanged in the entire past year. I walked past him toward the bedroom, my response flat. On a mission. The bed was piled high with Adrian's colorful clothes. It was an eyesore. Oh, look at Mr. Busy. In that case, let's just not get married. Adrian followed me, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Don't bother with the suit fitting. Don't bother sending the invitations. I froze. The blood under my sleeve hadn't even clotted yet. My body was exhausted. The Omega was still complaining nonstop. I don't want to marry someone with your low-class background anyway. So what if your pheromones are high grade? You still make me a laughingstock among my friends. I closed my eyes, a bitter mix of feelings churning inside me. Then I opened them. I looked into Adrian's beautiful, puppy dog eyes and said, seriously, okay, then let's not get married. I'll go tell your father. Adrian froze, the color draining from his face. After a long moment, he forced a smirk, looking me straight in the eye. Fine. Whoever backs out is a dog. Caleb, you'd better mean it. Don't make me lose respect for you. With that, he slammed the door and left. I went into the bathroom. After a shower, I sat at my desk wrapped in a towel and started writing a letter to Mr. Vance. It wasn't long. The core of it was a request for him to dissolve the marriage contract between me and Adrian, and a promise that I would spend my life repaying the Vance family for raising me. This has always been the young master's wish as well. There are no feelings between us, and forcing us together would be mutually destructive. After the letter was sent, An unprecedented sense of relief washed over me. That night, I was summoned back to the Vance estate. Mrs. Vance and I sat across from each other, her elegant face etched with anxiety and pleading. "Caleb, I watched you grow up. It was wrong of Adrian to take out all his anger about that accident on you all these years. But I know he has you in his heart. He just doesn't understand his own feelings yet. Can you please give him a little more time?" A suffocating silence hung between us. After 5 minutes, Mrs. Vance gave a bitter smile. "I understand. If I forced you, neither of you would be happy. Then your engagement is over." As I walked out of the manor and down the winding path, I felt a little dazed. I had carried Adrian on my back down this very path hundreds of times. Through spring blossoms, summer sun, autumn harvests, and winter snow. I had secretly breathed in the intoxicating scent of his perfume. To tear away the Omega I had cherished for over 20 years was like tearing away my own flesh and bone. And I had actually done it. The moonlight had witnessed me falling in love with him. And now the moonlight was witnessing me giving him up. On the way home, I passed the slave market. Terrifying screams echoed from inside. Passers-by stopped to whisper. "I heard there's one who'd rather die than submit. Refuses to take any clients. Well, they're slaves. Born inferior. They either become servants or whores. He's been sold and returned 3 times already. If he causes another scene this time, they'll probably beat him to death." I shouldn't have gotten involved. But the screams pierced my ears, and I found myself unable to move. A slave, so his life was in someone else's hands. A slave, so he could be treated like an animal. Whether he was eaten raw or deep-fried was all up to the master's whim. I couldn't explain the sudden, intense pain that gripped my heart. I had no connection to the person inside, but his pain seemed to travel through his cries and lodge itself in my soul. Years of pent-up emotions erupted in that single moment. Unable to bear it, I stormed into the slave market. A blood-soaked boy was tied to a cross. Even after seeing my share of battlefields, my hands trembled as I threw all the large bills from my wallet onto the floor. "Give me his slave contract." The slaver's eyes lit up. He hastily handed me a sheet of paper and then greedily knelt to count the money. I held the contract in front of the boy's amber eyes and tore it to shreds. The boy, who had been glaring at me like a cornered tiger, was now completely stunned. I let out a breath and said to him, "You're free, but you're badly injured. I need to take you home to treat your wounds. Are you willing to come with me?" Our eyes met. He nodded. Tears mixed with blood streamed down his face. I broke his chains, wrapped him in my jacket, and carried him home. The young slave had no parents. He used to work for a wealthy merchant who went bankrupt and used him to settle debts. After being sold several times, he ended up in the capital. I had to empty several basins of bloody water before I finished cleaning his horrific wounds. "What's your name?" "Noah." From that day on, Noah stayed with me to recover. I spent my days at the base training soldiers and my evenings at home changing his dressings. Life was calm and steady, until the day I came home to find Noah gone. Adrian had trashed the entire apartment and was sitting alone, crying in the middle of the wreckage. Took me 0.1 seconds to guess what had happened. Clenching my fists, I tried to calm the rage boiling inside me as I asked Adrian in a low voice, "Where is he?" He looked up at me, incredulous. "You have the nerve to ask me that? I came here to see you out of the goodness of my heart, and I find a filthy slave Omega in your home. Do you have any idea how that made me feel?" He rushed forward and started pounding on my chest, his eyes red. "How dare you live with another Omega? You bastard! I'm going to have my father postpone our wedding." I didn't have the energy to deal with him. I grabbed my jacket and headed for the door. Adrian stubbornly blocked my path with his arms outstretched, tears still streaming down his face. "I'm telling you, if you dare go looking for him, I will postpone the wedding a 3rd time, and nothing anyone says will stop me." I pushed him aside, my face blank. "No one here wants to marry you. Didn't your mother tell you? The engagement has been cancelled, just as you wished." What did you say?" Adrian stood there, dumbfounded. I stormed out the door. I searched for several blocks without any sign of Noah, and a growing sense of panic tightened in my chest. He was injured and a good-looking Omega. I didn't dare to think about what could happen. I quickened my pace, but still found no trace of him. Just as I returned home, about to message my superior to request leave to continue the search, I found Noah, curled up in a small ball by my door, fast asleep. The heart that had been caught in my throat finally dropped. "Noah, why didn't you go inside?" Noah opened his sleepy eyes. Seeing me, he broke into a relieved smile, then lowered his head timidly. I went out to buy some groceries to make you dinner. When I came back, that young master was inside. He was very angry, and I was scared to go in. Also, I think the lock is broken." I looked at the slightly wilted vegetables clutched in his hand, and a tender spot in my heart was gently touched. Inside, the apartment was a complete disaster. Noah quietly and efficiently began to clean up the mess. I stared, stunned, at his small, busy back. He was as quiet as a kitten, yet his slender frame seemed to hold infinite courage. From that day on, Noah and I continued to live under the same roof. If anything was different, it was probably this. When I came home late at night, the living room light was always on. There was always warm food in the kitchen, ready to eat. Noah would be on the sofa, watching TV or just daydreaming, and the moment he heard the door open, he would purse his lips and give me a sweet smile. So this is what it felt like to have someone to keep you warm in the cold, sprawling capital. I knew Noah was sensitive and insecure because of his past, so I started teaching him how to read and write. I took him around the capital, telling him again and again with the utmost seriousness, "Noah, you are not a slave anymore. You are a free and equal individual just like everyone else. Live with your head held high." This calm, warm life slowly brought the light back into Noah's eyes, and in the process of helping Noah rebuild his confidence, I think I was also slowly walking out of the stable I'd been trapped in since I was 5. Not long after, the military hosted a large charity ball and required officers to bring a guest if possible. Noah mustered his courage and asked if I would take him. Usually, an alpha would bring their mate, but looking into Noah's sparkling eyes, I found myself nodding as if compelled by a strange force. When I put my arm around his waist for the first time, leading him in a spin in the living room, the boy's cheeks flushed crimson. I caught the faint scent of his pheromones, a clean, sweet aroma like fresh grass after the rain, and my restless alpha instincts, surprisingly, grew calm. When Noah walked out of the dressing room, I almost didn't recognize him. The well-tailored black suit outlined his slender waist, his legs long and straight, revealing a sliver of white ankle. His amber eyes were filled with shyness and nervousness. "You look very handsome, Noah." I praised him sincerely. He blushed and said softly, "It's because you have good taste, sir." On the night of the ball, Noah and I entered side by side. Many people knew about my relationship with Adrian, and strange looks followed us everywhere. Ignoring the stares, I calmly introduced him to my colleagues. "This is Noah, my friend." Suddenly, a commotion arose at the entrance. Adrian had arrived. He was dressed in a magnificent suit, his face as exquisite as a doll's, with a high-ranking alpha officer from a prominent family by his side. The moment he entered, his eyes locked onto me. When he saw Noah beside me, a flash of disbelief crossed his face, quickly replaced by an even greater arrogance. He moved closer to his male companion, laughing and chatting, but his eyes kept darting in my direction, filled with clear provocation. He was waiting for me to lose my composure. I looked away from him and asked Noah softly, "Would you care to have the first dance with me?" Noah nervously bit his lip and placed his hand gently in mine. "It would be my honor, sir." The ballroom lights swayed, and the music was elegant. I held Noah by the waist. He was stiff at first but gradually relaxed under my guidance, looking up at me with eyes full of adoration. "Sir, how are you so good at dancing, too?" My ears felt hot. I didn't know how to answer his question. In the midst of our quiet intimacy, a gaze so intense it could have burned a hole through me remained fixed on my back. When the music ended, Adrian could no longer contain himself. He shook off his dance partner and stormed over to us. He pointed at Noah and shrieked, Caleb, what is the meaning of this? Even if you want to make me jealous, you can't bring a lowly slave to an event like this. Are you trying to disgust me on purpose? His voice was not quiet, and it instantly drew a crowd of onlookers. Noah visibly stiffened, instinctively shrinking behind me. I shielded him more tightly and looked at Adrian, my face impassive. You're the one disgusting me. Noah is my invited guest. Our engagement is over. Who I bring is none of your business. None of my business? Adrian was shaking with anger, his beautiful features twisted. How dare you? For this thing? He's not a thing. My voice turned cold. His name is Noah. He's an individual and he's important to me. Please respect him and respect yourself. You. Adrian's eyes instantly reddened, tears welling up. Caleb, you'll regret this. You will definitely regret this. He screamed the words through a sob, then stumbled out of the ballroom, utterly devastated. After the ball, someone from the Vance estate came to ask me to go to the manor. The color instantly drained from Noah's face. He only dared to tug on my sleeve, pleading anxiously, Don't go, please? Sir, can we just go home? My heart completely melted. I took his hand. I will come home, Noah. I'll come back to our home. His eyes glistening with tears, he stood on his tiptoes and kissed my cheek. While I was still stunned, Noah ran a good distance away, then turned back to me with a tearful smile. I'll go home and make you something delicious. You have to come back soon. For some reason, I felt the urge to cry, too. I nodded firmly and watched him get into the car. In Adrian's bedroom, he had me sit on the wool rug and, pretending nothing had happened, excitedly handed me a stack of designs. Look and see which wedding suit you think looks best on me. I'll pick yours and you pick mine. Soft arms wrapped around my neck, and Adrian leaned against me, his voice still a little hoarse. For the first time in my life in this room, he had set aside his pride. Husband, as long as you're willing to leave that Noah, I'll pretend none of this ever happened. Let's get married right away. Okay? Don't you like kids? I'll have a bunch of babies for you, and our family will never be apart again. I was speechless for a long time. The Omega's tears fell on my shoulder, warm and distinct. I know I was awful before. I really know that now. You don't understand. When I saw that Omega all over you, I was so angry I could have died. And you put your arm around his waist. Why, you're so mean. His tears seemed endless as he clung to me, letting out all his emotions. After what felt like an eternity of crying, he asked between sobs, Can you do it? Can you cut ties with him completely? I sighed and looked directly at him. Adrian, the ones who need to cut ties are us. Adrian's lips trembled as he asked, heartbroken, What are you doing? I'm already like this, and you're still not comforting me. You were the one who said you wanted to end the engagement. You threw away our ring. You postponed the wedding again and again. I did everything you asked, and you're still not satisfied. I clenched my fists, my own emotions starting to spin out of control. Adrian, I'm the one who should be asking, what is it you really want? I want you to leave that Omega. He threw himself at me, screaming hysterically. I want the old Caleb back. I want my Caleb back. Did that Noah seduce you? Is that why you're like this? His face was blotchy from crying. He actually started taking off his clothes. Anything he can give you, I can give you too. We're the ones with the best pheromone match. Once you're satisfied, you won't be tempted by those bad Omegas outside. I shoved him away forcefully. Adrian fell to the floor, staring at me in despair. Have some self-respect. Those were the last 2 words I left him with. The evening wind cooled my flushed face. Everything about Adrian felt like a grand, bitter dream from my youth. Now the dream was over. I thought, if I go home now, I can probably still have a hot meal made by Noah. Adrian blew up my phone. The moment I turned on my comms, hundreds of his messages flooded in. Husband, come home quickly. My heat is about to start. I miss you so much. I picked out my wedding suit. Can you come home and see if it's pretty? Noah tugged on my pinky finger and said pitifully, Can you please block him? He's so annoying. Without a second of hesitation, I handed him my device. Noah's fingers tapped randomly on the screen for a moment. Then he looked up at me excitedly. Are you still hungry? I can get you some more soup. I smiled and pointed to my cheek, saying shamelessly, I want a reward. The Omega gulped and then threw himself at me, devouring my lips. Sir, you taste so good. My breathing became ragged. I swept him up into my arms and carried him into the bedroom. Late into the night, the scent of fig and peach lingered, as if a whole bottle of perfume had been spilled. The moment Adrian met Noah, he smelled the fig scent clinging to him. He expressionlessly took a check from his purse and threw it on the ground. Fill in whatever amount you want. Take the money and get as far away from me as you can. Noah just smiled, picked the check up off the floor, and slowly tore it to pieces. Then he let the pieces flutter down over Adrian's face. The young aristocrat had clearly never been treated this way, especially not by a lower-class person he despised. Enraged, Adrian sneered, and here I thought you were some innocent little bunny. You're a good actor. I did my research on you. You've been sold more than once. A lot of alphas have used you, haven't they? Noah's face paled slightly, but he kept smiling. So what if they have? Adrian was stunned. He thought the Omega before him was utterly shameless. How dare a body that filthy and cheap get close to my husband? No matter what I am, he will love me. And no matter what you say or do, he will never look at you again. Noah stood up, looking down at Adrian. I didn't come here today for you to threaten me. I came to warn you. Stop interfering in our lives. Adrian slammed his hands on the table and shot up, grabbing Noah by the collar. Sooner or later, he's going to see you for the dirty rag you are and come back to me. When I arrived, the first thing I saw was the two of them grabbing each other's clothes and pulling hair. Rage surged through me. I strode forward, pulled them apart, and put Noah behind me. The sight of the scratch marks from sharp nails on the boy's face made my heart ache. I suppressed my anger and asked Adrian, what will it take for you to just leave me alone? Adrian froze, a belly full of grievances stuck in his throat. He just glared venomously at Noah. I haven't done you wrong, have I, young master? I served you with all my heart since we were children. You skipped class, I took the punishment. You were unhappy, I was your punching bag. That business with the marking. It's my fault I didn't castrate myself on the spot. I was breathing heavily. Adrian's face went white, and he cried out, no, that's not. But for years, everyone has known I'm the most pathetic S-class alpha, that I'm Adrian Vance's dog. After all these years of being beaten and cursed at, shouldn't your anger have cooled by now? I cut him off, my eyes red. I'm telling you, there is nothing left between us. Love, gratitude, kinship, friendship, you've drained it all dry. From now on, if you ever dare to bully my mate again, I won't be so courteous. Adrian wiped his tears, proudly picked up his bag, and left. But as he turned, his shoulders were still racked with sobs. I held Noah in my arms like a treasured possession I had lost and found again. Does it hurt? He shook his head, pouting playfully. Let's just go home. Husband. I swept Noah up into my arms and, ignoring the few scattered stares from onlookers, strode out of the tense atmosphere of the coffee shop. He rested obediently in my arms, his arms around my neck, and buried his face in my shoulder, like a small animal seeking shelter. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I leaned down and kissed the soft hair on his head, my voice full of guilt and heartache. I had sworn to protect him, yet I had still let him face such humiliation. Noah looked up, his amber eyes crystal clear, with a hint of a sly smile. I'm not upset. Actually, I'm a little happy. Happy? I was taken aback. MHM. He nodded emphatically, like a cat who had just stolen a fish treat. Seeing him so furious but helpless, and hearing you defend me so firmly, calling me your mate, it made my heart feel so settled. He leaned close to my ear and whispered again. Husband. The warm breath on my ear, carrying his unique, sweet fig pheromones, instantly soothed all my remaining anger and anxiety. My heart melted into a puddle. I couldn't help but tighten my arms, holding him even closer. Let's go home. I moved with Noah to a small city in the south. The sun was plentiful, the climate was mild, and it was far from the noise of the capital and the drama of the aristocracy. After the coffee shop incident, Adrian seemed to have accepted reality and never appeared again. Life finally returned to a state of peace. Noah discovered a great passion for gardening. He filled our small yard with all kinds of flowers and plants, but mostly fig trees. He called them his lucky trees. Every summer and fall, the yard would be filled with the sweet scent of fruit, which mingled with the scent on my own skin. In the evenings, I would come home from my work at the military base. The setting sun cast a warm golden glow on Noah's profile, making him look impossibly beautiful. "You're back." He always spotted me first and would come running. I'd take the glass of water he offered, pull him into an embrace, and kiss his forehead. I'm back." We would prepare dinner together in the kitchen. After eating, we'd cuddle on the sofa and read, or do nothing at all and just kiss. "Tomorrow, I'll pick the reddest one for you." He'd point out the window, his eyes sparkling. Okay. Sometimes we would dance. Right there in the living room with no fancy lights or audience, just the two of us. As music flowed from the phonograph, we'd sway slowly. Noah's steps grew more and more skillful. He leaned against me in complete trust. Our foreheads touched, our breaths mingling. "Noah," I whispered in his ear, "meeting you was the greatest luck of my life." We held a small but heartfelt wedding in the little town's church. We didn't invite many people, just a few colleagues who knew our story and the close friends we had made locally. Noah wore a white suit I had custom made for him, holding a bouquet of white fig blossoms. In the sunlight and surrounded by everyone's blessings, he walked toward me, step by step. I took his hand, and under the witness of the priest and everyone present, I solemnly made my vows. After we exchanged rings, I gently lifted his veil, pressed a cherished kiss to his forehead, and then moved to kiss his lips. The crowd broke into good-natured laughter and warm applause. In that moment, tears welled in my eyes. The missing piece of my heart had been filled, a perfect fit. We adopted an orphan who had lost his parents in the war, a little beta boy with soft, curly hair. Noah treated him as his own, giving the child all his tenderness and love. Our yard, once filled only with flowers, began to fill with a child's toys and laughter. Many years later, I would occasionally hear news from the capital. I heard that Adrian never married, squandering his youth and money. Those were all distant stories that had nothing to do with me anymore. I looked down at Noah sleeping beside me. Even in his dreams, his lips were turned up in a faint, contented smile. The moonlight outside was beautiful, and the clean scent of figs from the yard drifted in with the breeze. I have Noah, I have a home, and I have a lifetime of sweetness and peace ahead of me. This is the best life I could ever have imagined.